We're here at the 2020 Pasadena Showcase House of Design and have invited several of our favorite experts to share their tips and tricks on a variety of topics, everything from food and wine to wellness and entertaining. We hope these segments will inform, entertain, and inspire you to try something new. As we like to say, do try this at home.
Today we're in session with Bret and Chris from PEZ Cantina.
PEZ is one of my favorite downtown LA restaurants, and Bret and Chris are going to be showing us how to craft delicious cocktails with two of my favorite spirits, Mezcal and Tequila. So we'll learn about the different flavor profiles, get some tasty treats, and really learn all about cocktail crafting at home.
I'm super ready. I have my festive shirt on.
Looking good,
yeah,
looking
thank
good.
You, so are you as always.
Let's go have some cocktails.
Yum.
Hi, I'm Bret Thompson, chef and owner of PEZ Cantina, a restaurant in downtown Los Angeles. Today, actually, I am Mezcal.
And my name is Christopher Mesa. I'm one of the bartenders at PEZ Cantina, and I am going to be tequila.
So today we're talking about Mezcal versus Tequila, two of my personal favorite spirits. I don't know about you.
Definitely the best two spirits in the world. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah. I mean, I do like other, I think we share the love for gin. Whiskey, other things, but something about mezcal, something about tequila, I don't know. It's that like
the
that
moment
spicy.
it hits your lips.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so the cool thing about it is they come from the same plant, but they're so different. I mean, it literally tastes like a different spirit, like a different plant. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and so then even better, when we finish, we're going to make some great cocktails for our friends Megan and Lefty, and make this a party.
Yes, we are.
Here at the Pasadena Showcase House.
We're also going to be taking some shots of our favorite spirits in a bit.
Yeah.
Stay
So Chris and I also are the proud owners and I think like co-dads of a great brand called PEZ Powder Chili and Lime Seasoning. We've got 3 flavors, and we've also got PEZ Craft, which we started recently as ABC has allowed us to start selling alcohol from the restaurant or cocktails. So we've got at least 12 different flavors, which is very exciting. So we're going to kind of make a cocktail. I'm going to make a mezcal one. Of course, Chris is going to do a tequila one. And
might I add, it's about time that we're able to sell to-go cocktails at restaurants.
I know. Yeah. No, I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about. I'm going to talk about mezcal real quick. So I brought a couple of my favorites here, and I brought some very interesting ones. So the first one here I've got is called Bozal Borrego. Borrego means lamb in Spanish, and the reason why is because there's a mezcal. So first of all, mezcal and tequila both come from the agave plant. Now the one thing about, and I won't get into tequila too much, I'll let Mr. Tequila tell you about that, but with mezcal, it can come from a variety of about 20 different varieties. This particular process called Borrego, which is actually sort of a process that takes its influence from pechuga, which is where they take chicken breasts and they let them hang over the distillation process. And apparently the chicken juice goes into the distillation process, of course gets cooked, and you do get a little bit of that flavor. But in this case, they actually hang lamb leg, and I did some more research on this. There's also pecans, pineapples, apples, grains, and different nuts they also put in the same basket, which is really fascinating. So that's Borrego Bozal, which is very, very interesting. It's an amazing mezcal, one of our favorites. Of course, the bottle is also really pretty. The second one I have here is called Los Javis Espadin. And this is our well we use at the restaurant, our well mezcal. And so I had the privilege of spending a good week down with this family down in Oaxaca. And this little town called Matatlan, not Mazatlan, but Matatlan is where they make this. And this little town really, I think, encompasses probably 80% of the mezcal producers of Oaxaca, which is incredible because this town is like a small little dusty, kind of not a little memorable. Have you been to the?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, you've been there. So
when you walk into the town, it's like, this is where they're producing the mezcal?
Exactly. So it's really cool. I mean, it's very, so they welcome us into the house, and we made, we basically took the piña, they call it, we split it, put it into the pit. They use, I think it was 80% mesquite and 20% encino wood. Nice. And they put it all in this massive pit that's probably 30 feet in diameter. And put this tarp on top, and they roast it over, I think it's 18 or 24 hours. Maybe it's even longer than that. And then they actually throw that into this thing called a tahona. Yeah. And the donkey rolls around and it crushes it, and we watch the whole process, and then throws in the open air yeast fermentation tank into the distillation process, and done. We were drinking this stuff warm as it was coming out of the distillation process. It was so good. I mean, warm mezcal. Yeah. It was very raw, don't get me wrong, but it was pretty amazing. And so that's kind of like who I am and where I come from, you know?
Taste all of the effort and love that they put into every single drop that comes out. And then your espadín, this is your more traditional type of agave that you're going to get when you, I mean, I hate to say starter, because well, who's to say you can't start with a Tobalá or a Madre Quiche? But most of the time, your beginner mezcal is going to be the espadín, so that is going to be the mezcal that's more approachable.
So it's kind of like your first bottle of champagne is like Perrier Jouet or something like that, or
exactly.
Right? So okay, so that's kind of the process. So I told you about the growing, the different. So espadín is a different varietal. The roasting process, the crushing process, the fermentation process, the distillation process. Tell me a little bit about tequila.
As you know, we are both made from agaves. Mezcal tends to be a little bit more varietal, more than 20 different varieties that you can choose from. Tequila is going to be made from the Blue Weber agave. So every tequila that you get is made out of one type of agave. But there's different types of tequila within that one agave. You have your Blanco, which is aged from 1 month to about 3 months. You have your Reposado, which is aged from 3 months to a year. And then you have your Añejo. Now your Añejos are aged from at least 1 year to 3, and then you can go even further with the extra Añejos. So you got a little bit of playing room when you're dealing with the Añejos.
Añejo is what I like, by the way.
Añejo is my personal preference. Reposado is also really good.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of mood you're in. If you're doing like a cocktail, right?
Exactly.
If you want to sip, maybe this is the thing you do?
Yes, yeah. You know, a lot of Reposados are good for sipping too, because you still get a lot of those characteristics that a lot of people say you lose when you tend to age a little bit longer. And then also, just so you know, traditionally, tequila is aged in American oak barrels. There's a lot of different brands who are using different barrels, like you got Don Fulano, who are using barrels from Slovakia, Hungary, all kinds of different places all over Europe. But traditionally, they are aged in American oak barrels. Yeah. So now another cool thing about tequila is that there's 2 areas of Jalisco that they're actually made in. First, traditionally, tequila came in the valley, which is lowland tequila. That's where you're going to find a lot of my personal favorite tequilas, like Fortaleza. And then you have the highlands, also known as the altos. In the highlands, you get a little bit more rich soil, so the tequila tends to be a little bit more fruity, whereas in the valley, it's a lot more dry climate, and the tequila tends to be a little bit more earthy, with tones of grass and mint, whereas the Highland tequila, you're going to get some tones of honey, you're going to get some citrus, vanilla notes in there. So there's a lot of fighting between who has the better tequila. In my personal preference, I prefer the lowland tequila. I like the earthier characteristics. I tend to gravitate more towards these ones. I love to taste the dry volcanic ash that you're going to see. And this is why when I make tequila or when I make margaritas, I go with the lowland tequilas.
It's amazing how like there's so many different, not only do you have like, you know, the different, like, I mean, the lowland and the highlands, such huge difference in flavors and characteristics, and from the terroir, the soil, and it's just fascinating. I love it.
It's extremely fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's so different how one distillery that are right next to each other, using the same techniques, can have such different tasting tequila, and that's the beauty that you get in mezcal and tequila. All of them are different. There's little hints and tones in each one. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you tend to find your personal preference as you dive into the tequila and the mezcal world. There's so many different types, even within the highland and the lowland. Like, for instance, you got Coralejo, which isn't made in Jalisco. It's made in Guanajuato. So different parts of Mexico also do different forms of the spirits. Like, you can get mezcal in Durango. So it doesn't have to be in Oaxaca. It doesn't have to be in Jalisco.
But most of the tequila is from tequila
Exactly.
Yeah, because we've actually, so we're pretty good friends with the guys who do Coralejo, and my wife, she's from Guanajuato, Lucy, so I've got to call that out. So we love Guanajuato, the state, but their facility is amazing, and the tequila is amazing. And I think they've been around since like 1755, something like, 1755, right there. I mean,
they know what they're doing.
They do, and it's amazing how the Mexican government doesn't allow not everyone to produce outside of tequila. It's very sort of, there's a lot of rules around that, right?
Yes.
And regulations.
There are. So if you notice that most tequila is going to be 40% alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
And most of the time you see mezcal, which is like 42 to 50.
This one's 52. This is like some gasolina.
You're going to get higher alcohol percentages on mezcal, and that's partly because the Mexican government, they charge you for the alcohol percentage in Jalisco. So I had the pleasure of going down to Fortaleza and stayed on Guillermo Salza's beautiful distillery, and he kind of explained it a little bit more. So that's the reason why most tequila is at 40%, because the Mexican government charges you for every percentage over that. So every so often you get those really special ones, like these guys make still strength, and it's at 42%, but it's very rare that you get tequila over that 40% mark, just because it costs so much to do, and not a lot of these farmers are that wealthy. So 40% higher alcohol percentage, so that's
52%.
That's why I prefer
that's
mezcal.
Like surprisingly high. This guy's 41.5, 41.31, very specific. But what a big difference in alcohol content. Wow.
And I'm not sure if this is scientifically proven, but you don't get hangovers from mezcal. In my opinion, I could drink this stuff till the sun comes up, and I don't feel the least bit hungover the next day.
So are we ready to make some cocktails?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
I'm gonna be doing a pineapple mezcal punch.
I'm gonna be making a strawberry and mint margarita. We actually sell our own version of it to go, so make it really easy for you to drink. You just pour it into a shaker, shake it up, and pour it over ice. But today we were gonna craft it like if we're at our house using fresh ingredients.
Yeah. So
I like to make these as if I'm making them for myself, because I tend to like really fresh margaritas. Fresh cocktails, fresh fruit, fresh ingredients. Those are my personal preferences. So I try to mirror that on these PEZ craft cocktails that we make for everybody. So just know when you're drinking these at home, it's gonna have all the freshest ingredients in them.
I mean, I think that's like, it's something that's so important to say is like, people say, well, what kind of salt do you use? Like, in the kitchen. It's like, well, how do you make your cocktail so good? If I'm at home and I go out to my garden, I pick some verbena, maybe pick a few Meyer lemons off my neighbor's tree, and you just take verbena, and you take some agave, and you take some Meyer lemon juice, and some tequila. Just that on ice is amazing.
Yes.
It's when you're like putting weird things like high fructose corn syrup or corn syrup.
It makes all the difference.
It does. I mean, even making a really good simple syrup is really good. You don't have to. We use agave, which we like this because it's got the viscosity. It's got a bit of a rich feel in the mouth. It's got a little bit of a brown feel almost to it, like almost a honey feel to it. So, and of course we use the fresh lemon juice, or lime juice, excuse me.
Fresh lime makes all the difference in the world when you're crafting margaritas. Just remember that.
Because when you're squeezing it, you're getting all that zest oil
in there, right? Exactly. Yeah. You get the essence, you get the oils, you get the zest from the actual pill.
So when you buy that weird jar that's shaped like a lemon, it's like, is that even like, what is that stuff?
Exactly what we're talking about. Fake ingredients. Anybody can create fake ingredients. All of it is, the beauty of it is in the fresh ingredients. Yes. Honestly.
Can't get any fresher than this. All right, so I'm gonna start cutting this out. You can leave a little bit of those brown spots on there, but you kind of want to get through that thick skin. In the middle of a pineapple, you have like this spine of it, and I generally will take that out, but some people like it. My wife likes to eat that. Lucy likes to eat it. So it's when we're cooking pineapple, if we're roasting it like with al pastor or something like that, we'll generally keep it. But
roasted pineapple is delicious, especially in a cocktail. If you ever want to make a delicious cocktail, roast some pineapple on your grill.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then just kind of puree that. I'm gonna be using these fresh strawberries. So it's up to you how much of the strawberry flavor you're actually going for. Me personally, I tend to use about 5 nicely shaped strawberries, but you could go wild, add as many as you like. Also make sure you use fresh mint, because so delicious when you're grabbing fresh mint from the garden. So give it a nice muddle. I have the strawberries and I have the mints in there. Make sure you muddle it nice and strong.
I've got the ice and the pineapple. I generally put about 2.5 ounces of espadín because I want kind of a simple, clean flavor on this. I don't need to. This I might save for sipping. I don't necessarily want to put this in a cocktail.
I wouldn't use that Borrego in a cocktail unless you're gonna use like 3/4 of it to kind of get that essence of the Borrego in there.
Exactly.
So another cool thing about Fortaleza that I found out when I was down there, it's a beautiful thing, is that they hand make every part of this bottle. From the cork, which is a cut off agave, kind of looks like a pineapple. They call it the piña. When you take all of the needles off of it, it kind of looks like a little pineapple. So down there, they call these the piña. These you could reuse. I use these on flasks that I have at home, like glass flasks, or I've seen this really cool guy who took these off and put them as handles on his bar, which is a really cool idea as well. So you can utilize the different aspects of this handmade stuff that you're gonna get from Mexico.
So I put about an ounce of agave in here, about an ounce of the fresh lime juice.
I am going to be using our PEZ powder green with our
original.
homemade chamoy. We make all of this in-house. You can't go wrong with either or, but yeah, mine is more for like one of those nice hot days, and yours is for like a nice cool summer evening.
I can't help myself. We gotta cheers.
Let's do it.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Delicious.
That was super fun.
What a great way to end the week, right?
Yeah, totally.
So if you want to learn more about PEZ Cantina and try these delicious cocktails in person at their downtown location, you can visit pezcantina.com. We'll see you there.